I'm here. I'm eating an apple. Good morning. We already have a guest.
Hello, Jeff.
Look at you.
How are you? Oh, out of my camera. Well, I don't know. My face isn't ready. Is it ready? My face. I'm being judgmental of myself. Is it ready?
Oh, is it ready for the camera?
Maybe. Where
I don't
do
know.
I
You'd have to show us before we could tell you.
True. So, in essence, I have no choice. I have to do it because for you to tell me I shouldn't put on the camera, I have to put on the camera. That's a bit of a bind. A bit stuck there.
Or you can decide to just leave the camera off.
Very
and not worry about your face, and that will solve all of it.
But it's it's been a long time since we talked, and I feel like it should be a bit more. Oh shit! I need a.
But that looks good. Your logo looks good with the background too.
Yeah, I do like it. It's from the video game series Halo. It's their sort of the logo of their CIA, FBI, which does a lot of cool stuff and also fucked up stuff in the stories. I don't remember why I chose it, but I do really like the logo. It's like because this is set in like the 2500s, and it's sort of what if the CIA in the future just decided to pretend that it was the Illuminati? Basically, you can see the symbolism, but there's no actual connection there. So they're just LARP role play, and they. Yeah, it cool video game series. It's trash now after Microsoft bought it and ruined it, but it was good in my childhood, and especially the books. I did really enjoy it.
So wait, they started out as books, not a video game?
No. It started out as a video game on the original Xbox, and almost immediately, because it was such a big success, they began writing books of it, and then they sort of had a parallel books and video games. And then Microsoft acquired it in like I don't know exactly which year, 2012 maybe. And after that, it has sort of it parallels what Disney did to Star Wars. They sort of just worsen the quality of it all. It's sort of sickening. It's like infecting an IP you really like. At first, it seems.
But how you have the original Halo, and then how many others after that before it got infected? Like, at what point in the series did Microsoft start infecting?
At least for the games, you have Halo CE, so that's Halo 1. You have Halo 2, Halo 3, and then you have Halo Reach. And then after that, with Halo 4 and 5, and now Infinity, they're all sort of a big downgrade. And I understand they are in a difficult position because the original story of Halo was that about total war. The original 4 games were all set in the tail end of that total war, the last 2 years. Like, a war has been going on for 30 years, and all the games take place in the last 2. And it's basically the culmination of this entire war of humanity's existence. And then it's over. And like, the idea is now we retire, now we're done, the game series is capped off. But it's such a big hit that, it's a big money-making machine. Like, at one point, Halo 3 was the biggest game of all time, or at least at that time, the biggest and the most profitable. And so Microsoft acquires it together with Xbox. They've already sort of had it because they own Xbox, but they acquired the studio that made it, because previously there was a separate studio that just made the game for Microsoft, for the Xbox. But then they bought the actual studio and got their own studio, and it's not the same. It's just not the same after I got it.
After Microsoft got hold of it, I know so little about it. I tried to watch the Netflix show, but I didn't know what I was looking at.
Oh, the Netflix show? I haven't watched it, but I've heard that it is absolutely horrendous. That Master Chief guy? Like, his whole thing and the whole thing of the Spartans.
That's the one. That's what threw me off, because he's this like faceless generic character, and I couldn't relate to him because he has no individuality. And my friends would tell me that's the point. They wanted
Yeah,
something universal and generic that everybody could relate to, and that's where it lost me.
yeah. I mean, he is a soldier. That like he is a so the lore of the Spartans, they are kidnapped at 6 years old and trained to be the best possible soldiers that you can have, genetically enhanced, or they wear a super suit. They're basically have no social skills. Most of them. There are some which acquire it, but like kidnapped at 6 and raised in a military environment. Sure, you become the greatest soldiers of all time, but you're not social at all. And like it sort of built upon this whole humanity is an extinction level event. If they don't win this war, humanity goes extinct, and there is no
Who are they
time
fighting?
for the
Aliens
niceties.
or other humans?
Aliens. Although this is where
Oh.
the specifically Office of Naval Intelligence, which is the logo, is a bit controversial because they kidnapped these children and started this program a few years before they got in contact with aliens, before first contact. They originally did this to end the insurrection. So that was basically an oncoming human civil war, because the outer colonies, the colony worlds, were dissatisfied with the Earth government and were beginning to rebel. And so instead of creating massive armies and fleets, this universe CIA basically thought that instead we could just have 200 special soldiers that can go and assassinate every single leader easily, and we'll have peace. And then the aliens come, and then the purpose is very much different. But it sort of shows you that they aren't exactly the good guys, but when the alternative is the
So they
extinction of humanity.
kidnapped children and forced them to be these assassin soldiers? That's what
Yeah, they are the good
there's
guys.
not enough people that would have signed up on their own?
No, because they needed the perfect specimens. Like they
Oh, so,
needed
like, they
the
engineer the
absolute best
kids.
genetics. Yeah, so like in humanity has in that universe has canonically like 40 billion humans, and in that age group there were only 200 children who had the best possible genetics, the ideal ones. So probably elite IQ, really high athleticism, a very low stress, very high trainability, perfect eyesight, perfect senses. Basically the best of the best. You need to combine the
The
physical
elite.
aptitude of an Olympic athlete with the intelligence of Albert Einstein, and so you need to
He's
kidnap
talking
these
about the
children.
Halo game, Sophia. It
Yeah,
the
so you need to kidnap these children, because they are the best you can have, and they already tried it with adults a decade earlier, but you needed children because the augmentations didn't work on adults because they were too
so
invasive.
they only kidnap these elite children that have the special genetics?
Yeah, they found basically 200 kids with the best genetics of all of humanity, kidnapped them and trained them, and then did the most invasive surgeries possible, and like only 60% survived. So they just killed up 40% of the most elite human capital. And the unfortunate thing, it paid off. The only reason humanity wins the war against the aliens is because of these super soldiers. Now, it is the whole point of the game. So you play as one of these super soldiers. So obviously they are the reason that humanity wins. But it's sort of a bit of a mind fuck and it's something that should have been dealt with in the later games better than what Microsoft did. But how do you come to terms with the fact that your survival as a species is because you did the most evil thing imaginable? If you didn't do that, you would have been gone extinct.
Well,
How do
then
you
it
deal with
is
that? Like, can
well,
you justify it?
is that evil anymore if it produces that amount of good?
Exactly, exactly. It's like, should we
So
think about
Master
this?
Chief is one of these super mech human
Yes, he is a
creature? Okay.
Spartan.
So you
He's
get to
a
play one of those people in the
Yes,
game.
you play him.
I
You play him, and you basically just kick ass. It's really fun. You should play it. Although I've heard
Oh,
your dexterity on the keyboard, one finger at a time, it doesn't really lend itself to video games. I'll be
no,
honest,
I can't play
but
those things. I don't have the coordination for
that's
it.
unfortunate. But you should, you know, how about how do you feel about a controller? Like, is that also really
I
difficult?
tried I tried, a controller, an Xbox or something, and my friend put it in my hand. It had way too many buttons, and I was trying to play, and it started vibrating in my hand and doing things,
Uh,
and I threw it up in the air, and I don't wanna touch those things. I
Yeah,
grew up with Atari. I can work a joystick and one button. I was in the Pitfall Club. I got the high score. And then Nintendo had 4 arrows and I think 1 or 2 buttons, so I could kind of do that a little bit, and then anything after that is way beyond my skill.
it became a bit too much. Yeah,
Mhm.
I can. I mean, I grew up with it. I'm used to having to use all my fingers, but I do understand it, and I mean,
Well, I
I
have
don't
mine's
expect.
dyspraxia, it's genetic, it's
Yeah,
a
yeah. I
processing condition.
I mean, I it probably would have been better for you if you had grown up in an age like me where even the most basic video games require more coordination, so that if you want to enter that scene, which most kids want to, then you'll need to struggle a bit more. But I understand that it would probably still be
I don't think
very
I would have.
difficult. Yeah.
I don't even type. I use 2 fingers. I hunt and peg with 2 fingers still. So, I've interfaced with social media this whole time
Oh,
with
wait,
2
sorry, I
fingers.
need to my dad is calling me. I'll just text him that I'm busy.
Oh, well, no, that take his
Yeah,
call. I
okay,
can
I'll
play
be
some
back.
alright, I'll play some tunes and you can come back. Is he is he leaving or going on mute? Well, we'll find out. Go ahead and be calm. Yeah. We're still here, ladies and gentlemen. Dobez got a phone call, so we're waiting on him to get back. And we're doing a little intermission. Hey, B-Say, what's up? How you doing? All right, well, we'll continue on with some tunes. All right, welcome, folks. This is an open panel. I'm just playing tunes and in between panelists. We have Dobez with us. He got called away. We were talking about Halo, the video game, and video games in general, and dyspraxia and fine motor coordination and ability to work controllers and stuff like that. So if you have anything you want to add or you want to come up and start a topic of your own, please do. I'm just hanging out here, keeping the space open for people that want a dialogue. In the meantime, I'm going to continue on with some tunes.
Just like a diamond right there. Just like a diamond right there.
Alrighty. Well, we'll see if anyone else wants to come up, please do. Otherwise, I'm gonna wrap it up probably in another half hour, unless we get our semi guest back. I guess real life is intersecting with YouTube life right now as we watch live. What's going on with everybody? Check in. Let me know. Or if there's a topic you want to touch on, let me know that too. I'm going to keep hanging out. All right. About 15 more minutes, folks. Then I'm going to shut it down unless we get another guest or Dolbez back. Thanks for hanging out. It's good to see everybody. Bex, Space Cake, all the other people. Austin was here. I saw you earlier. B-Say, Fatty. When are we going to groove again? Sophia. All right, let's keep going.
Okay, Jeff, I am back. I have returned.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, hang on. Let me. Okay. Sorry, folks, for that 45-minute intermission. I think we have our guests back. Everything okay?
Well, yeah. It was. I couldn't really say no to this. It's my sister's birthday, and since I'm not there, they called and we ate dinner together, or they ate dinner, and I talked with them whilst doing so because, yeah, family.
It's so nice how families can connect now from all across the world.
Oh yeah, it's really nice. It makes living alone a bit better in these first few years.
Oh, let's see the face. What are you worried? What are you worried about that face for?
No.
A
I'm
perfectionist.
just pretending to be worried. I wasn't really worried.
Okay.
It was just
He knows he doesn't have any.
talks worry. To play up for the stream, make it seem cooler and more important that I show my face because it's been such a long time, which it has. It has been a long while.
Does.
And so I felt like I couldn't do this, the first stream with you, in over a month, probably. I couldn't do that
Probably
without
so, yeah.
a face cam.
I'd be more worried about those curtains. Are those curtains?
Yeah.
Are they brown or gray?
They're
in that chair.
like
you need some
gray,
color.
black.
You need some color in there.
Well, I have my color on my Nietzsche wall.
My
It's
God. What is that?
I haven't read them all at all. I bought them because I liked the design and I liked Nietzsche. He's not my number one philosopher at all, though I don't really know who that would be. But I like the design.
Oh yeah.
So I bought a lot of them.
I'm reading The Birth of Tragedy right now.
Oh, that's my favorite one. The Birth of Tragedy is. I know he himself thinks he made a lot of mistakes in it, and he thinks that early part is when he's sort of still too Wagnerian, like too much of a follower of Wagner. But like I like it the most. I think it is way better than his later works because I like Nietzsche, but I'm not a Nietzscheist. I'm not a Nietzschean. And in this early part, it's more as if he has a Nietzschean attitude towards other things, whilst in the later books he's like pure Nietzsche, and that's not really my cup of tea. I can appreciate Nietzsche as a philosopher. He predicted a lot of stuff. He's genuinely like super intelligent. However, his later philosophical works just don't land as well for me, at least. They just
like which one? Genealogy of Morals? That's his best one.
Yeah. I can agree that they are the best ones. Like I've read Thus Spake Zarathustra, parts of Genealogy of Morals. I've technically read through all of Good and Evil, but I don't remember most of it because it's such a long time ago. I can understand that they are his best work in that they showcase his own philosophy the best, or his anti-philosophy, whatever you want to call it. They showcase him and his ideas in the best way. They fulfill him completely. It's just that I don't agree with him, and I agree more with, for example, The Birth of Tragedy.
The ideas you talk about, not necessarily.
Yeah. And like that, I can
see.
understand that in philosophical depth and quality, his later works are clearly better. Like Thus Spake Zarathustra is amazing, but it's not exactly my cup of tea. Whilst The Birth of Tragedy, there's something about it. I really like it. I have used the sort of Apollonian Dionysian distinction for years now. Like
so has Jordan
years.
Peterson.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it is the part of him where he still fits within the Western canon, where his philosophy can still be worked into that. Because later on, it's sort of difficult to merge like true Nietzsche with anything else because he's such a unique. You understand what I mean? Like it's
say
his
more.
His later philosophy, especially regarding the more like the will to power, mass morality, slave morality. It's sort of it can work, at least to me though. I find it difficult to square up sort of almost aristocratic, elitist, Ubermensch sort of philosophy with. Uh, listen to what I'm saying. I find it difficult to sort of contain that within the Western canon in the same sense. I think it's easier to take Nietzsche pure, and that's what most. That's why the stereotype of philosophy nerds. You basically have the Western canon, people who hate the Western canon, and then Nietzscheans. Because the Nietzscheans, if you take him purely, if you just take him at his rawest, you cannot also take everything else. Like he's his own thing.
Yeah,
And
but he's part of the Western canon. You can't separate him from the
oh yeah,
Western canon.
well, he is, and it depends on the definition. If you look at yes, he is by definition part of it. But if you look at his philosophy and everything, I think he is somewhat of a rejection of it and an evolution that we haven't really adopted yet.
That's all part of the Western canon, is that
Yeah,
rejection and evolution, because in The Birth of Tragedy, at least, he's recapitulating themes and conversations that they were having back in
yeah,
4th
it's
century
brilliant. He
Athens,
is
and that
brilliant.
the German writers before him were having too, Schlegel, Herder. So The Birth of Tragedy is not even really original. These are conversations that have been going on for centuries. That's just his.
I agree, especially The Birth of Tragedy. And I'm not saying he's completely unique, but his later works are they do distinguish themselves. Now, I would say
But he
he
took
himself,
themes within the Western canon, existing
yeah,
motifs, and
yeah.
he developed them on his. So he's not outside of the Western
Okay,
canon.
let's okay.
Emerges from it.
Would you agree with me when I say that? Okay, he is from the Western canon. He is by definition in it, but he takes a radical departure that separates him on his own path, which the rest of modernity hasn't fully gone on. Modernity is heavily influenced by Nietzsche, but it
But I
is
don't think
not.
that takes him outside of the Western canon. I think
No,
he took
okay,
his own
that's just
path.
a difference of definition. Then that's just a
Oh, okay.
difference of
Because
definition.
it sounds like when you say modernity, it sounds like you're equating modernity and the Western canon together, and Nietzsche somehow took a path outside of that. But
I
I don't
think
know
my
that
mistake.
modernity and
Yeah, my mistake was I made an sort of implicit separation between the sort of legalistic Western canon that Western philosophers, based on previous Western philosophers, are by definition in the Western canon. That's one
yeah.
definition. The other is the modern West built upon this philosopher in a major way? Like, are they part of the actual full lineage and not just a reference here and there? But like, is their blood and soul still in us? Which is, you'll find plenty of Renaissance philosophers that, by definition, are part of the Western canon, but their contribution is minor compared to other ones, like Giordani Bruno. Sure, people know about him, people read about him, a lot of people are influenced by him, but like he is nothing compared to Spinoza. Like Spinoza has a much like that. You
But
understand
they're
what I mean?
all
Like,
in the Western canon.
yeah, but
Like,
that's I made an implicit assumption that
oh,
you can distinguish it into two: the legalistic category, just Western philosophers, which they all are, and the other one, like in the modern world, if you can trace its philosophical lineage of the major contributors, then Giordani Bruno would probably not be in that, whilst Spinoza would. But in a legalistic definition, both of them would be. So that's my fault. I probably should have not used the same word for that. It's sort of, again, it's the way I think I use that definition of like, are you part of the major influence to today for what determines if you're part of the Western canon, whilst you use the term for a, just a definition. Are they a
so you
Western
consider
philosopher?
like they have to be influential in the modern world to be considered part of the Western canon?
Well, I haven't really object or thought about it or sort of crystallized it until this conversation. So right now I can see that, oh yeah, I probably shouldn't have, called it Western canon. And it's not as if I don't take Giordani Bruno as a Westerner. But in my mind, when I think about the Western canon, I think more often at, which philosophers. Again, this is part of me being a history nerd. Which philosophers have actually impacted history and the outcome of the West. That's sort of
Well,
my.
I mean,
Everyone
I see
has
what
been,
you're
yes.
saying, but there's no
Yeah.
there's no way to really quantify or measure that, and that's always changing from
Yeah,
historical
exactly.
era
Like
to
if
historical
if
era.
I if I really like Giordano Bruno, I reference them all the time, and then I become a famous philosopher, then, that sort of proves my definition a bit wrong, because then suddenly Giordano Bruno is retroactively added back to the Western canon. So again, I misspoke. I shouldn't have defined it that way.
Well, what was the original point? Something about Nietzsche going outside of that, or
Yeah, okay, yeah.
in the modern
I
world.
think his philosophy sort of split away from the modern path. Like the modern path is very inspired by him, but not directly. It wasn't as if we had a Nietzschean movement and from that evolved the modern world. It's more the Nietzschean movement was a sort of sibling movement to what became the modern world, and they influenced each other greatly. But
You
Nietzsche,
sound like you talk like the modern world is this unity that it coalesced into this definite form, and I don't think you
okay,
did. I think
again,
I
that
think
is
I
my
think
fault.
Western culture is that chaos and clash of different perspectives, and I think the modern world is still doing that. So I don't I think it's open ended. It has been from the beginning, and it still is. So that's kind of a continuity in the Western tradition, is that
Yes.
open-endedness of it. And I think the modern world is still just as fluid as the West has been from the beginning. So I get confused when it sounds like the modern world took a definitive form.
No, okay. Again, that is just me or not defining it correctly, or being wrong. I do agree. Like it, we probably he's not the main influence, but he is part of it, and it was my I was wrong, or I shouldn't have dismissed him that completely. Although again, I do
The
like him.
only thing I'm
I do
not
like
saying you're
Nietzsche.
wrong. The only thing confusing me is you seem to be collapsing modern Western culture into one entity where you can trace who was and was not an influence on it. But
I think that's
it's
again,
too
it's a
complex
bias of
for that,
mine.
and
Yeah.
Nietzsche's it certainly has influence on parts of our culture
Yeah,
if you look
I
for 'em and
think it's again
identify 'em.
a bias I have of looking at things in a very broad picture. Like again, when I look at the Renaissance, like that sort of, if we look at today as the modern West, and if we go 500 years in the future, which philosophers will we look back upon and say these were the biggest
We don't
ones?
know. You don't
Exactly, but
500
I'm
years, you don't
projecting.
know.
I'm guessing. I'm projecting. I
Oh, I see,
think
okay.
that. Again, that's the way my brain works. That's the way I conceptualize influence, is what will endure for 1,000 years. It again, it's a historical bias of mine. What will endure 1,000 years?
Oh, that's
If
not a bad way to think, because that is what the canon is. It's a list of survivors.
Yeah, which again, the example Giordano Bruno, interesting guy. Not many people know him, although he has seen a revival in the past 2 decades.
That's because all the occult people.
Yeah, exactly. But they are the undercurrent of the West, and the undercurrent is
None of
part
this
of the
new,
Western
like,
canon.
nothing is you could transport back to ancient Greece or ancient Alexandria, and the world would look pretty as familiar as it does today. They'd be having the same conversations. They'd be talking about it would have different forms, but the patterns would all be the same. The forms of our discourse are Western, and they're a few thousand years old.
Yeah, exactly. And even broader, we're humans. Like our human biology informs our psychology, which informs our culture, which informs our philosophy. There are a lot of commonalities within the West, but there are also broader commonalities between all civilized peoples. Compare Chinese philosophy with Western. There's a ton of differences. There's also a lot of similarities that don't come from shared philosophers. It isn't as if Jesus went and moved to the east, but they still have similarities to Christianity, because that fills sort of one part of the human biology. And I'm not being a biological essentialist. I'm not saying that all philosophy is biology, but the way our brain is structured obviously impacts the way we view the world, because the brain is what views the world. So there's obviously a correlation. And since we humans generally have a similar brain, it makes sense that there will be commonalities even between people who have no shared culture at all. I think if you took genetic Europeans and isolated, and as babies, no teachings from parents, and you isolated them on their own, and they made a new civilization, their philosophy and culture would have similarities with everyone else, and it would have more similarities with the former Europeans than it would with Chinese. Not a lot, but you get what I mean.
No, I don't. What would, like, genetically?
Yeah, I mean, the brain is constructed through the genetic code, and the structure of the brain informs how you think, and how society think. Like, uh, the fact that
Society doesn't think. It's
no,
not
but how people in society think. Like the fact that we
a
are
million
visually
different
dominant.
ways.
Yeah, but the fact that humans are a visual species makes our philosophies and perception of reality way different than if, for example, bats became the dominant species and became conscious. They are an auditory species. Their philosophy would be wildly different, even though they live in the
There
same
are
reality.
auditory humans too, though. Like, we're not
Yeah, but
completely visual.
sure, but again, they grow up in a society and culture that's based on like the way we understand. Like, just look at the way people talk about. You know that deaf people can learn echolocation. They learn to click with their tongues and learn to listen to the echoes of the sound. Like the way they themselves describe it is primarily visual. Like they use visual metaphors, or at least
I didn't
spatial
know that.
metaphors, in a way that you wouldn't expect of a auditory native species. I'm not saying that humans can't be auditory, they obviously are. Like, if I close my eyes, it doesn't change reality. I can interact with reality, but it's our eyes form the dominant sensory region of the brain. So it's natural that the way we construct reality and view reality is primarily visual.
Maybe. And, like, there's a visual component to it, but there's also an auditory slash verbal component
Yes,
to it
but I
too.
would say the
Logos.
visual is the
Well, I think,
large.
again, it comes down to the individual. I'm way more auditory than visual. I don't take in the visual
Hmm.
very well at
Well,
all
I
compared to
am.
my auditory.
But then again, okay, we can talk about the average. There will be humans who are primarily auditory, but the average human is visual and has been for hundreds of thousands of years. And so the
I think we're
basics.
both. I think we're
I mean, we
audio
are a
visual.
multi-sensory organism, but if you look at the brain and you look at the size of the portion of the brain that controls each sense, the visual sense is by far the biggest. It takes the most brain power. It has the biggest share of the
I
brain.
think that varies from human to human. I don't think
It
you could
doesn't
be
vary that much.
dogmatic and say that humans are predominantly visual over auditory. I think we're a blend of both, and each individual human is going to be blended differently. So it can be a
Yes, but
range. I
it's
think
again.
we're audio visual primarily. Like, other animals have way more developed a sense of smell than we do. So I'll give smell to the animals, but visual and auditory is the main way that we communicate and form our culture. We tell stories, we
I'm not
transmit songs,
disagreeing.
we
They are
act
the
out.
biggest ones.
So almost everything we do is some kind of mix of the auditory or the visual. And to separate it so cleanly and insist that the visual is the primary and the auditory is secondary, I'm not willing to do that. I'm willing to
Okay.
concede, yeah, both in some combination.
Okay. Then we disagree,
Even in
but
our
that's fine.
dreams, we have sound and vision.
Yeah. I mean, I've had a few dreams that were taste based, but I've never had a dream that was smell based, which is interesting because when I visualize something, I can visualize every sense except smell. I can make myself feel as if I'm eating something. I can taste the taste of it. I can see it. I can hear it. I can
Oh,
touch it. I
you
cannot
can't
smell.
imagine smell? Like, if I told you
Yeah.
to imagine vanilla or
No, I can't. I mean, okay, I know I have the capacity because there's some few moments in my life where like I have that imagined smell. I can feel it from time to time, like maybe once or twice a year, but it's nothing I can control consciously. Um, but then it's interesting that this was the same for taste. I couldn't forcefully imagine tasting something until I was like 12. So like when I was 10, I noticed that, oh, this is weird. I can imagine sound, I can imagine sight, I can imagine touch. Why can't I taste stuff? And so when I went to walk to school, almost every single day from age 10 to 12, I would just look at everything and what would it feel like if I licked that? And slowly but surely, I taught myself how to imagine taste, or at least get it back, because in dreams I could have it. That was sort of part of my justification. I remember the dreams where I had tasted stuff, so I know my brain has the ability to simulate it. And so from age 10 to 12, I basically just taught myself to do it consciously. So right now I can close my eyes, I can see a cheeseburger, and I can eat it. I can feel it. Not as vivid as reality, but it's there. I can notice the taste of it. So it's something that can be learned, which I find interesting.
Yeah, I that is interesting, and it's interesting that you noticed that as a kid.
Yeah, I mean, that is who I am. That is the type of person I am. I see things about myself, and if I have the willpower, I do something about it. If I don't, it stays. What more?
Is willpower and desire the same thing?
In most people, no. Willpower is the ability to act upon your desires, or act in spite of your desires. Maybe I don't know.
So
if
you can
willpower is the
want to
correct
make a
word.
change, but not have the
Yes.
motivation to do it.
Yeah.
So it's more like motivation.
Yeah. I mean, I think in most people, they have willpower enough to act upon most of their desires, but yeah.
I think basically people talking about humans, the average human, I think people basically do what they want. They are wired for homeostasis. And so if they're hanging out on YouTube all day, that's because that's what they want to be doing. If they're sitting on the couch watching TV, eating potato chips, that's because that is what they want to be doing. If they're like slacking off at work and not showing up on time, that's because that's what they want to be doing for some reason. So I think people mostly do what they want. So if you want to learn about what people want, just watch what they do.
Yeah. I mean, it's the most simple way of doing
And I think
it.
willpower comes in when you're trying to do something other than what you naturally want. Like where your nervous system is gonna
I think you
support
need
it
to
without
separate.
effort.
I think you need to distinguish want between what you consciously want and what sort of your brain wants, in a sense. Like there are a lot of urges your body has that your consciousness that
How do they get
oh,
satisfied though without the consciousness? It's gonna take the consciousness, like enlisting the consciousness to meet those urges. So at some point they have to become
then again, maybe consciousness isn't the right, but the I, the self, the selfhood. There's a lot of things that I want to do, but my body doesn't. Like I want to go train daily, but I don't have the inherent biological motivation to do it. Like my body doesn't really want it, but I consciously want it. If that makes sense.
Yeah. In fact, I'm much more familiar with that, where your mind wants something and your body doesn't.
Yeah.
But
But
usually
it
if my
also
body
goes the other way around.
wants something, my mind is aware of it and either cooperates or not or doesn't. Like I don't I guess okay, I guess because I had a recent situation where I desperately needed a break and some time off. My body needed that, but I wasn't aware of that till I took a break. And then I'm like, "Oh my god, I didn't realize how much I needed this. I was burning out so bad." So I've experienced things like that where my body did need something desperately that my mind was not aware of. And I do things like forget to eat or like all the time because I'm not very in tune with my bodily needs.
Has that changed when you get older, or is that something you've always had? That
I
you.
think it's something I've always had because of the neurodivergence. I'm like
Yeah.
so focused in my head, but also I think with the dissociation from the trauma, it got more intense.
Yeah. Because that is usually something that happens when you get older, is that your body doesn't send as strong signals anymore for like the biological needs. Like the biological needs are less noticeable as you age because the signals aren't as strong anymore. Although I don't know actually what threshold age it begins at, or if this is something that happens to the average person or every person. It could be that only the average person gets this, like their bodily signals become weaker and weaker, whilst some people have no weakening at all. But it is. I suppose this is something I'll find out when I get older, because right now I am very aware of when I'm like hungry. That doesn't mean I always listen to it, but I can feel it very, very intensely. That I want, my body wants to eat now, but there's a lot of times I'm like, why bother? I can just wait 2 more hours and then it's dinner. Like, why would I eat lunch when dinner is so close? But my body it's very noticeable.
But that's still conscious though. Like
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I'm
but
a
that's my
monist, like
conscious
we are
reaction.
our bodies. The what?
I mean, that is my consciousness denying the urges of the body, in a sense.
Let me think about this. Because your body gives you signals to eat and pee and sleep and drink water and all kind of other stuff. And when you get those signals, then you have to figure out what to do. Like, well, do I get water? Do I go pee? So usually you give in and you satisfy whatever those signals are demanding.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm just asking because we've had a lot of our differences and conflicts and combos is about consciousness. Like, if I said sapiens instead of consciousness, would that like
No, that wouldn't
okay? What
help
about
because
sentience?
because we're talking about awareness. You don't know that you're hungry at all until you become aware of the signal from your body.
I
And that
suppose.
happens to me
Well,
all the
yeah,
time.
but
I'll
then you
forget to
used.
eat. I will go hours without eating
Yeah.
and my blood sugar will be dropping and I won't be aware of it. I will not consciously be aware that I have not eaten for hours and my mood is changing, my focus, everything is being affected, but I am not aware until suddenly I get a signal or I realize. So the hunger can happen before the awareness of the hunger.
Of
Like, or the
course, of
need for
course.
the food can happen before your conscious awareness, like before you're aware that you need the food. But until I get the signal, then I don't like, I wouldn't get up and go pee unless my body was signaling that, oh, you need to pee. So it at some point the signal enters consciousness, and then that's when I take an action,
Yeah.
whether it's hunger, sleep.
Do you
I don't
consider
sleep till I'm
like
aware that I'm tired.
do you consider the body that sends you signals as part of I?
Yeah, we like what
Okay.
else is it? We're all
Well, because in the
we are our
conversation
body.
you talked about
I
how
can't
you
separate
don't
myself from
react.
my body.
Yeah, but in the arguments or what you said, you talked about until I get the signals. So like if you are the person sending the signals and you're also the person receiving. So like that's the separation between your bodily I
Oh,
and
you're
like
so you
your
wanna call the
conscious.
part that receives the signals consciousness and
Yes,
the
that's the
thing
one
that
that's aware of what you
sends some
consumed.
other part of the body. Okay. I mean,
Yes.
I can work with that.
Yeah.
I can work with that model.
I think that's a useful separation because there's a lot of issues where there is a difference between the bodily I and the conscious I. Whilst, technically they are one, but it's useful to view them as separate. Well, okay, they're only technically one if you subscribe to that model of philosophy, but that's an argument for
I
another
do.
day.
I don't think I'm a spirit trapped in a
Hmm.
vessel, like earthly
Yeah.
vessel. So it's all I'm an organism. It's all one unit, biological unit.
What happened to my... Wait, I lost something on the ground. Yes, I am Legion. No, I am a trillions of cells, all cooperating, or not really cooperating at all. It depends on how you're looking at it. But yeah, no, I don't know. I am not a materialist, at least. But I haven't really, I'm only 20. I have 60 years to figure out what sort of metaphysics I subscribe to. I only need to have that figured out by my deathbed. That's my deadline, the deathbed. Before that, I need to have figured out my own metaphysic, what I believe. But right now, I have no hurry. It's like, I know I'm not a materialist, but I don't think I would go so far as to say, I'm a soul in a vessel. But I'm not sort of crossing it out off the list of possibilities. It's just that I haven't sort of, I haven't decided. There hasn't been any evidence or enough thought to decide. But yeah, I'm not a pure materialist. That I am sure of, at least. I think that surprised my dad, actually, because last time when I was home, I did offhandedly mention, that I'm not a materialist. And I think he was kind of shocked, because he is a very, he's a mathematician. He's a atheist mathematician. To him, materialism is all there is. So I think that was sort of shocking, but in a fun way. He didn't ask or press, but I do think he was surprised.
And you have like religious mathematicians?
Oh, I mean, you have a lot of them. I think it isn't illegitimate to be religious and be a mathematician, but I do think it's philosophically dishonest if you're also not a theologian trying to fit them together. You can't just split them into two. Like, this is my mathematical life, this is my religious life. If you are religious and a mathematician, or a scientist for that matter, part of your cognitive horsepower should be used on trying to figure out how it's connected, which is what most historical scientists and religious people did. Part of their research was spent on how to unify religion and science. How does it fit in? Like for example, the first mover argument in physics. Like, that is a religious argument on how to unify God with physics. And I think that there's nothing.
But that's a religious program. Science is not interested in that. That's a religious program. How to reconcile religion with science. Science is not trying to reconcile itself with religion.
No, it isn't. But if religion offers a possible solution to questions science has not answered yet, and those solutions are able to be proven scientifically, then that is a path that science should attempt. That doesn't mean it.
Why do they need to be proven scientifically? And I don't understand how they would do that, because religion would answer to the human needs, cultural needs, individual needs, and
yeah, but
it's
Jeff,
proven because it works. That's the proof. The science doesn't need to get involved in that. If we have these stories that we tell ourselves and it produces this result in the individual and society, what needs to be proved? It works. It's creating culture. It's contributing to human flourishing, etc. What would science contribute to that? That it's not already self-justifying.
There are a lot of paradoxes in both science and religion that potentially can find a solution in each other. Like, for example, a lot of the Big Bang Theory was first proposed by a Catholic monk because he needed a start of the universe, like the paradox of the universe. How did it begin? We cannot prove we cannot find out how the universe began from rules that are derived from the universe itself. And so for him,
but why would be a human why would religion be? Oh, we can't find it using science. Maybe religion has the answer. That's not a scientific way of thinking, because all science should do is follow the evidence that's being observed. So it just has to look at evidence and induct theories and
Yeah,
hypotheses from that. It doesn't need religion at all to do that. It can just keep observing the physical world and developing hypotheses and theories
sure.
and testing
But
and all that.
a lot of arguments that religious scientists will say is that, when they follow the science, a lot of them feel like they will arrive at monotheism. Really, like there's a lot of scientists that
That's not science though. Feeling like you're going to arrive at
okay,
something is you're
I
not
say
doing science at that
they
point.
they lay out rigorous logical proof, physical proof that they think is enough. I don't know if that is enough or not.
That's not
I mean,
science.
if you use the scientific method, okay, imagine this: if in physics, we still don't have a unified theory. You have quantum physics, and then you have
Yeah.
relative theory. Like, imagine if a new scientist comes around and he can unify the two, and if you unify the two, all other mathematics works perfectly. However, there's one variable you need. It is a requirement for that physics to work that there exists an omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent God. If that is proven scientifically and mathematically that you would need such an entity for the start of the universe to make sense, for the existence of the universe, the expansion, the unification of the universe, and the
How
self-observance.
would science know it has to be an entity and that you're not just anthropomorphized? That's kind of how we discovered gravity. So science would know that there's a variable out there that we need to satisfy the mathematics, but there's no way it could know that it's a being or an entity or has the ability to create. It would have to infer all of that and then
Well,
continue
okay,
to use science to verify it.
okay. Let's say some theories in quantum physics say that part of, like, it seems that there is a necessity for observation for it to exist. So for the
That's one of
most
the foundations of the scientific method.
yeah,
You have to
yeah,
be
but
looking at something that we can all talk about together for it to be science. You have to be able to point to it and show another person and make a statement about
okay,
that thing.
but okay, let's say we point at the smallest unit of the universe. This thing is what makes up everything, and then we find out that without an observer, mathematically it should not be there, and we can test this by by mathematically removing the observer variable. It stops existing. That necessitates that there is
You have to
some
test it in reality,
omniscient. Well, okay,
like
that's not how
not just the
much of
math. You
physics
have
and
to
mathematics works,
reconcile
though.
the math with
Yeah, but like
reality.
there's a lot of things. For example, imaginary numbers are necessary for everything in modern life, but they are
Right,
imaginary.
but
We know they are necessary
But
because
but we
without them,
don't
math
know that
doesn't.
they're entities or being like people are making even if there's this like unknown variable that we eventually need to fit in, there's no reason to assume the characteristics that people ascribe to it
No, but
of a
we can.
being or a
Okay,
creator or a divinity or anything like that. It could be
no,
another physical force in the universe.
but what if that physical force is just like, I would say this is controversial to a lot of Christian friends. I don't think you can call something that's omnipotent, omnipresent, and omniscient a being. I don't think that can be alive. You cannot, like, being all knowing, all powerful, all seeing is not reconcilable with life. And so, in my view, that would just be a force of the universe, just like gravity. So, like, if that makes sense, that a lot of,
It makes perfect sense. That's how
yeah,
science would arrive at this. They
and
wouldn't need recourse to religion at all.
that is how a lot of, for example, that Catholic monk who laid out the Big Bang, he basically described sort of the scientific basis for God is he's a force which began the universe. And then it's his theology that is most reasonable for it to have these and these characteristics of Christianity, which that is a faith-based argument. But to him, that there must be an omnipotent force at the beginning, to him is logically coherent. Like omnipotent, it's all powerful. You would need something that's all powerful to create, well, all to create everything. From to go from nothing to everything, you need something that's all powerful. That's and basically a lot of Christians' argument, like the first mover, to start existence itself. You need something that is as powerful as all existence. So to
None
them,
of that's
that was
science. That's at best it's speculation. So you have the observation stage and then hypothesis. All of this is part of that hypothesizing. And at some point that has to be refined into a
yeah,
testable scientific theory to be science.
of
So to
course,
me,
but
I'm not invalidating anything you're saying. I'm just saying that is all part of the second stage of the scientific method called hypothesizing. And good scientists would know how to refine that into an experiment that could be tested and verified, and other scientists could come and repeat it.
I don't necessarily disagree. But there are things that we sort of like, for example, imaginary numbers. We are not able to make an experiment to prove they exist, but they are necessary
But
for
they don't
mathematics to
exist.
function.
They're
Yeah,
imaginary.
yeah, exactly. But at the same time, without them, math stops working. So like, there must be something that like
But we don't
either
call
us.
them God. That's like even if that's
No, no.
what you're saying is true, we there's no reason to call it God.
Yeah, okay. The label of God is a faith label, but the concept of omnipotence, omniscience, and omnipresence are all things that can be worked in scientifically. In a
Well, then
sense, you know.
some good scientists in the future will do that then if that is the case, if that turns out to be the case.
Yeah,
But
I mean, that is
it's
what a
out,
lot
like,
of.
omnipotence is an abstract concept. It's not a concrete something that a scientist can measure and point to and quantify.
No, but
So
okay.
a
Imagine,
scientist
Jeff,
would express it in different language than omnipotent.
most likely, yes, they would probably do something like U, just a variable U, which is the everything of the universe. Like, that makes sense. At the start of the universe, there is a force that's U, like the universe. It's everything that then becomes the universe. Like, but that could be called something that's omnipotent. And if you need something, if you need a force that observes everything to make it exist, in, for example, quantum physics, you could call that omniscience. It's all knowing. And if you need a force that keeps together everything without it existing, you could call that omnipresence.
Yes, you
I
could
do
call
agree.
it all of that and a bunch of other things, but science
Yes.
would call it something very much more specific and concrete.
I mean, if what you're describing is the everything, is a force which creates everything and is as powerful as everything, I think omnipotent is like one of the best
I bet
descriptors we
science
have.
and the AI are going to come up with something more granular than just this abstract omnipotence.
Sure, sure,
That's
sure.
not a useful scientific term. Like the science is going to be forced to translate it into terms that fit within the scientific system.
They probably will call it something else, but I think that's more to do with the current society not being Christian. I think if we got a unified theory of physics and it necessitated an omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient force, I do think they would just call it God. If that happened 100 years ago, because at that time society was so powerful, and if the Muslims discovered it, they would probably call it Allah. I don't know what we will call it. As you said, we'll probably call it something more atheistic. I think the connotations
I'm more
of that, like,
interested in the thing itself, whatever it is, than what
yeah,
people will call it. And people get
yeah,
so lost in these speculative rabbit holes that to me distract from the act. A scientist is not going to sit in a lab and say, "What if there's this force that created the universe?" It's going to run an experiment on something testable, and then from there maybe be led to infer and then do further experiments and tests to try to pinpoint what this force is. So none of this is scientific thinking to me. It's imaginative, it's speculative. Maybe it's more of the religious or fiction making imagination, the storytelling imagination, but it's
okay.
not the way a
I think
scientist would approach it.
Jeff, that this type of laying out philosophical arguments and basing on science is rational and logical thinking, but it's not scientific, because scientific is like inside that. It's a subset of rational thinking. Not all rational
Well,
thinking
yeah,
is
but you
scientific, and not all scientific thinking is rational. Or no, all scientific thinking is rational, but not all rational thinking is scientific. And you do have sort of these logical, philosophical, and theological proofs, which are clearly
Yeah,
rational
but
and
my only
logical,
point is
but they're
they're
not
not science,
scientific.
and science is the standard for knowledge now in the modern world. That's
Yeah.
one thing in the modern world we can pinpoint pretty specifically, is that science is what other standard is there? So I'm not arguing with everything you're saying. I'm just making the
No.
point that it's not science. So if you want to bring science into the argument, you have to bring it in on its own terms.
Yeah. I do find myself at a bit of a disadvantage because, I don't necessarily hold these beliefs. I'm not a Christian scientist. And so I'm sort of arguing in their place by proxy. And, I don't think I'm doing that good of a job playing the sort of the devil's advocate to your scientific
Maybe we can
materialism.
get a Christian scientist up. If there's any Christian scientists out there that want to come and have this debate.
How many viewers do you have at this moment, actually? Like, I don't know if there are any. It's a pretty, to be a top scientist, that's not exactly a common occupation. And
I don't know why
so,
not. You could be a Buddhist, a satanic scientist. I don't like, to me, a scientist could be any religion. When they're doing science, they're doing science. It's a technique.
yeah, but I think that it's some religions, for example, like tribal animalism, that is that it doesn't rely on rationality, that is like symbolic first, rationality second. People from that culture and religion will very much struggle with science, whilst the religions like Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, which are more logic based, like they try to make logical, theological arguments for God, will probably adapt to science a bit better and be more compatible with
How
science.
many people in the West or America or whatever, Europe, do you think don't struggle with science? 90-something% of the people I run into struggle with science.
Yeah, but
on a daily
like,
basis.
Science, I don't think, is an occupation or a way of thinking that, it's like Hume says, if you try to think scientifically about everything, you would be stuck. You would get nothing done because you don't have time. You don't have time to think that way about
Science
everything.
that's not what science is. It's not sitting and thinking about everything. It's thinking about specific things and testing them.
Yeah, but you don't have time
yeah,
for
I
that. At
agree.
some
A
point, you just
scientist
have to
wouldn't get
assume.
anything done
Yeah,
if he tried
you
to do
can't live your
philosophy
life.
instead of science.
Yeah, you can't live your life scientifically perfectly. But that's, yeah.
Some people do and can, and like a lot of autistic people. That's what I'm saying. I think the people that do science, it's a very specialized activity. It just takes a specialized skill set, maybe even a specialized type of brain or certain temperament or interest. It's for a minority, but it's still a useful standard to run modern civilization on.
I'm not disagreeing. I don't know. I don't force myself to apply like the scientific method on everything, but I do try to lay out everything rationally and logically, and that
That
is
might be
usually
the
enough.
confusion because, yeah, you're right. There's science is a
Subset.
specific form of rationality, and
Yeah.
I think it all goes together. I think people that are rational are also thinking scientifically, also thinking logically. So in my mind, it's all one genre. And if people are doing one, they're also doing the other. But you're right. There could be some people that think logically or rationally, but not necessarily scientifically.
I do think that I do agree, but I think your use of there could be something. I think the vast majority of Westerners are logical and rational, but not scientific. Like that the science demands that you can prove every step of the process, whilst rationality is more lenient. Like you can say, okay, if I accept these assumptions as just true, then what can I logically get out of that? Okay, I accept that if my wife is angry at me, I accept that as a legitimate thing. I don't look into that. I accept that. I accept that I was to blame. Then logically, why am I to blame? And lay it out. While scientifically, those assumptions will be like, you need to prove those as well, and then you need to prove those
Right,
assumptions.
because science is used to try to understand the physical world, the environment. So
Yeah.
that's what you would use science for. If
Yeah.
you're just trying to figure out how to go about your day, you don't need science for that. Logic and rationality will be enough. You can
Yeah.
logically think through options and pick the best one. You're not trying to understand the physical universe. So, but so I don't have a problem with people that use logic and rationality in their daily lives without it being science. I have a problem when they bring science into conversations and debates, but then they don't take the extra step of bringing the scientific thinking along with it.
I mean, a lot of debates are debates. It's if the science demands actual physical experiments, then it's difficult to do that in debates. And debates are usually, you know, you. But yeah, I do get your point. I don't disagree necessarily. I mean, we are not really disagreeing here because I'm playing a bit of a devil's advocate for the opposite side. Yeah.
Yeah, science has made philosophy or philosophical debates very difficult for a while now because it's philosophy now has to adapt itself to the rigors of science where
Yeah,
it
I
didn't
mean,
have to
look at
before. So now speculation and inference can only take you so far before you have to start meeting the epistemological demand of science. Whereas before science, people could be more like loose and freeform about their philosophy without needing any kind of additional evidence. But now, if you want to make a philosophical case, you have science that set a standard that it's hard to get around.
yeah, on a completely different topic. How was Christmas?
Has it been that long?
Yeah, we haven't talked since before December, I think.
Oh wow, no, I didn't know. It was good. Just holiday, New Year. Mm.
Nothing special.
No, not at all. Mm. How was
Unfortunately,
yours?
quite nice actually. It's still special. The idea that I come home for Christmas, that I'm not already home, and annoyingly, my brother has taken my room because I had the
Oh,
biggest room, and now that I moved out, he want to upgrade. He wants to double his room size, which fair to him. I would have done the same, but that's so annoying because now I have a really tiny room when I get home, and so I had to sort of adapt to that, a new room at home, and
you got his old room?
yes, his old room. It's funny. I've now lived in every single room in the second floor. So when we moved into the house, I lived in room number 1. Then when I was like 14, I moved to room number 2. And now when I come back, my brother's taken that. So now I lived in new room number 3. So in that single house, I've lived in 3 different rooms in less than 10 years, which is a lot of switching, I realize. But yeah, Christmas was really good. It was really nice.
Well, good. What's going on in 2026? You're a junior now?
Oh, uh, huh?
Are you a junior?
What does that mean?
Wait, what do you call it in Norway? Like your third year of school?
Oh, I'm only second. Remember that Norwegian
Is
schooling
that a
is 1 year
sophomore?
longer. Bro, I don't know. Don't throw
What y'all
these
don't have?
American jokes.
Y'all don't have freshman, sophomore, junior, senior?
No, no. Like
What? That's
that.
crazy. What
We
do you
don't.
call yourselves? That's crazy.
I'm a student. I'm a student,
But
and I would say
like
I'm
okay,
a.
your first year of high school is your freshman year. Your second year is your sophomore year. Your third year is your junior year, and then senior year is your last year. And same for college. Y'all don't have that?
No, no, no. We just say I'm a first year college student, second year, third year, fourth year. We don't
Y'all just
have
use
a.
numbers. You don't say
Yeah,
freshman.
no.
That's so weird to me.
And in high school as well, we didn't say that either. We just say, "Oh, I'm a first year, second year, or third year."
That's weird.
Yeah,
No, we had no, there were names. You had they
that
were
was
like
weird.
entire identities. To be a freshman was a cultural identity. To be a senior was a
We
cultural
always
identity.
we always looked at like American movies, and I was always trying to do this. I had to do these mental calculations to try to figure out like what freshman, sophomore, like how old are they? And now I'm even more confused because I didn't think it applied to college as well. I thought it was just high school.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah, it was
thought I had
college
it
too.
figured out. That okay, you call high school, middle school, and like you don't have a middle school apparently, which is very
Well,
weird.
when I was growing, we called it junior high school, and now it's
Yeah,
called middle
exactly. That's
school.
so weird. Why do you call it junior high school?
But they
Call
changed
it
that on us
middle.
too.
It's in the middle. Elementary school, middle school, and then high school. Easy.
Yeah. Well, the technical terms is primary education, secondary education.
Hmm. Yeah, I suppose the technical here is primary, secondary, and tertiary, because we have technically only elementary school and second and middle school is mandatory. So like you don't have to do high school, but the vast majority of people do. They do take high school because why wouldn't you? Like
Because it's
quit
boring.
schooling at
Here
60.
it goes by age. I think after a certain age you can drop out, but under a certain age you're still
Hmm.
required to go.
Yeah, no, here it is just like if you finish 10 years of mandatory education, you can now go. You're not obligated to do anything. You can just go. There's nothing forcing
So,
you to stay. Though again, most people stay
yeah,
because why would you go? Why would you?
because it's boring and they're not interested in it.
Yeah, but
It gets
unfortunately,
nerdier and nerdier the more you advance.
it doesn't. Like
It
if you don't
does,
like the
at least
like if
here.
you don't want that, if you want a trades job, you'll need to go to high school because then you'll do the trades path of high school where they make you a mechanic, an electrician, whatever. Like that's
Yeah, they
part of high
used to
school.
have that here. That's
Yeah,
becoming less and less.
so if you quit after middle school, you cannot go in trades, you cannot go in higher education mandatory skills. The only thing you can do is like menial tasks in.
Here you can still do trades and other even if you leave high school, there's still ways to get
Well,
in
yeah,
these
of course,
industries.
but like it's not streamlined and they don't have to accept you. Like the thing with the trades through high school is you will get a workplace and an apprenticeship. It's you know, maybe if I am as I am now and I was reborn back as my 12-year-old self with all the knowledge, I would have gone that path because I would have had an instant job that earns me 100,000 a year. Why wouldn't I? $100,000 a year when I'm 18 and I'll be able to keep that wage for like the next 30 years and I
Maybe a
get
job you don't like.
yeah, exactly. Well, we assume that it's a job I like. I think I could enjoy a few trades. I'm sure I could. But yeah, it is the money path for sure, and especially since the other, like this is the thing again about Norwegian society that our sort of labor unions and tax codes and everything is structured so that the top of society earn way less than they produce. So like they maybe earn 10% of what they contribute to society, whilst the bottom they earn like 80% of what they contribute. So the difference between the top and the bottom is much smaller. And so a tradesman can earn like 80% of what a doctor can earn. It's like, a doctor, you need 10 years more of education and you only earn 20% more than an electrician. It's sort of the trade-off that Norwegian society has chosen. I think we went a bit too far, but again, I'm not really complaining. It's fine. But there is a common stereotype. There's actually the sort of the doctor pipeline. So if you want to be a doctor and if you want to be basically any elite profession and you want to earn a lot of stuff, so like if you want to be a lawyer, doctor, not electrician, what I'm saying, engineer, like the path is you go and study in Sweden and Denmark because they have 1 year less of education for the same certificate, and then you move to America to work because America legitimately pays 5 times as much for the same skills and the same work. So then you work there for 10 years and then come back, retire in Norway. Easy.
Your doctors make 5 times less than America?
I don't know the exact ratio. I don't think it's 5 times.
Are your
But like,
doctors rich there? Are they considered wealthy?
oh yeah, for sure. But that, again,
Okay.
we are a generally wealthy society, but the top should be way wealthier. So like the average engineer in Norway earns way less than the average engineer in America. Whilst our minimum wage, you at least before the modern like political fuck up, but our minimum wage earned way more than American minimum wage. Like, you know, you can work at McDonald's, and that's enough to go on vacation, have a car, maybe 2 cars, fund your
Wow.
retirement, you know, live a good life.
What are the ghetto jobs there?
Could you define what you mean by that?
Like the jobs that the really poor people do that don't really go anywhere.
Um, I mean, that would probably okay. It depends. Right
The jobs
now,
nobody wants to do.
yeah, right now that's basically just the sort of stereotypical immigrant jobs. That would be street food, delivery, security guard, uh,
Oh,
that
like
sort of thing.
Uber and DoorDash and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
That would
the
probably
gigs.
be yeah, and it. The thing is, I don't think we didn't used to have a sort of ghetto job. Actually, we do. The public sector. If you work in the public sector and you don't rise within the first few years, then you'll never rise. Then you're just stuck at that level. But again, the public sector is bloated, so you get good wages either way. But uh, you know. Uh, okay, yeah, a
Oh,
search
entry
up.
level. It's like they're
Yeah,
going somewhere from after that. This
yeah.
is just where you start. You're not going to be here the rest of your life.
I mean, that would be most people go through different jobs. I suppose that would be grocery stores, that stores in general, service, a lot of the service sector. That's definitely something that we can consider entry level jobs. But the thing is, the Norwegian population and kindergarten actually, a lot of young people work in kindergartens for like the first few years, and that's sort of their entrance into the economy. But that'll definitely slow down with the fertility drop. There'll be less kids to look after, so you don't need as many kindergarten teachers. But yeah.
Well, we've been going at it for a couple of hours. I think I'm going to wind it down.
Yeah, it's too late. Is it? How late is it for you?
Oh, it's just 2:30 in the afternoon, but I got stuff to do.
Yeah, of course. But it's nice either way to chat with you. It's been a long time. We had I would say, a pretty good.
I didn't know it had been
conversation
that
as well.
long.
It's been a long time, Jeff. I haven't seen you. I haven't seen any upload of yours since November, at least, I think. And I got a notification earlier today, and I saw that we were gonna stream like 21:30, and so I joined. And then, of course, the instant I joined, my father calls me. It's sort of perfect timing, but I finished my rant before he called, at least. So that's good. But yeah.
Well, any last thoughts?
No, because I had to. If I do have any last thoughts, that's going to become a full conversation.
Right, they never do end.
Which we know. We know that from experience.
Okay, well, have a good rest of your day. And
yeah, thank you. And you as well.
See you again.
Goodbye.
Take care. Good to see you. All right. That was fun. Okay, I'm going to wrap up. I like to try to hit the hour mark. But there's no reason to prolong this. Let me see you on your way. All right. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. whenever the mood strikes me. Take care. Have a great whatever date it is today.